Nice. It's Fairfield County Live and Local, presented by the Sono Collection. I'm John Kamal from 95.9 The Fox, and I'm finally talking to Elle Sera. I feel like we've moved like around each other in like the musical circles for years. This is like, right? Like this is like our first real conversation. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great, and this new EP that you've got out right now is really great too. I want to talk to you about it a little bit, but before we get into that, the only other real conversation that me and you ever had was like it was summertime, first pandemic,
Yep. There's
and I heard you say one of the most amazing things that I've heard someone who does what you do for a living say ever. We
Mhm.
were talking about playing gigs, and you know, you gig all over Connecticut and Fairfield County and the whole Northeast, I'm sure. But you said, yeah, I'll do a 3.5 hour show with 100% original material.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was the coolest thing ever. I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
been a part of a project that not only would do that, but could do that. Um, anyway, I wanted to tell that story early just to kind of illustrate the kind of songwriter that you are. You've been doing this forever. You've got such a great voice, and it's so specific to you. But before we get into all of that, tell me how you got started. Your bio says that you were involved in radio, TV, Broadway, film. Narrow it down for me. How'd you get your start?
So child actor thing.
Okay.
I started in a dance school and the woman knew a manager in New York. And then it was just basically odds before I started landing some roles and some stuff. And then if you're a talented, hardworking child, the industry wants to just abuse that, dare I say.
Yes,
So
it does.
I was working a lot from probably 7.5 all the way through college. It kind of petered off some. I focused more on college, but I was doing the child actor thing. And so when I hit college, I went to NYU for musical theater. And I just decided my last year that a few things. My voice was my kind of star quality, or the main dish of
Yeah.
what I had to offer. And the performing in Broadway and theater was going to be really limited for the kind of stuff I wanted to do. I'm very tiny. If anyone knows me, I'm barely 5 feet. So limited roles, didn't like auditioning, all that stuff. I was like, oh, I think I'm going to try really being more serious about songwriting. So even though I did it a little bit in middle school, I just decided to start teaching myself guitar and songwriting.
Yeah, learning guitar like at you know, even just after college, the difference is so stark. How long did it take you before you felt like, you know, you were an actual guitar player? Because learning when you're 14 and 22, that's not a lot of years, but that's a totally different phase of life.
It is. I I still don't call myself a guitarist. I still think it's a means to an end for me to be able to play live. I'm mostly rhythm, every now and then a little finger picking, but I just don't have the time coupled with the interest to be,
Right.
you know, a lot of my friends around here in Connecticut, I can name names, but are just great at what they do. I'd rather just hire them if I need it. So the guitar thing, I don't know. I'd say I'm still learning. I'm still trying to hopefully get better, but I still don't know what I do. Self-taught. I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
weird world. I play in alternate tunings because I hurt my finger, and it's you know
That's what Joni Mitchell did though, right? Like just, you know, figure it out by ear and like figure out, you know, different tunings that could
weird.
work with her voice.
And I got compared a lot in my earlier part of my songwriting to Joni Mitchell and oh, who's the other woman? Ricky Lee Jones. Really got her a lot.
Okay.
Love Ricky Lee Jones.
All right.
So
I heard a lot of it's funny because you mentioned your guitar playing. You do play a little bit of electric on this EP. And I heard I got a lot of Natalie Merchant vibes off
oh
and
my
Never Give Up a little bit. Yeah, I did. I got some 10,000 Maniacs vibes on that. Really big. Was that you playing the leads on that though?
no, oh my gosh, the leaves. kidding. That's Asher.
Okay.
All love for Asher.
Got you.
Oh, no.
I saw electric guitar in there and I was like, okay, all right, that's kind of cool.
Because I play, we used the way I play live, my rhythm. We used my rhythm electric track.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So yeah, I played on it, but
Right.
I'm not
Right.
doing all the John Mayer-esque things. So
So I've been talking around this album for a couple of minutes. This EP, I should say. But I wanna talk about it. It's 4 songs. You've got Sunshine and Twilight, Never Give Up, Little Fire, and Simple Life. It
mhm.
felt like, just on an initial listen and then through looking at the lyrics and really kind of digging into it, feels like you're searching for something in this record. The character in every song is looking for, like Sunshine and Twilight's looking for a connection. You're trying to accomplish your goals and never give up. You're looking for security in Little Fire,
Mhm.
simplicity in Simple Life. And I'm putting my own stuff on it though. But would you say that's accurate? And are you searching for
Wow,
something?
I love that uh, comparison or concept. It does feel accurate now that you say that. I wish I had thought of that as a press selling point.
Okay. Hey, listen, you know what? You're doing press right now. That's the good news. It's not too late. It's
um,
not too late.
but yeah, fantastic point. Aren't we always searching for something? Quite often, love. But
Yeah.
I took a back seat from that whole topic and world of romantic love for a while, particularly on this EP, and just it was a lot of the past couple of years focusing on myself, trying to better certain parts of my life. Um, so searching for grounding, searching for being more whole,
Right.
mm, new way of thinking and being in the world as well.
Well, and I hate to bring it up, but you kind of have to. I mean, it's very much a post-pandemic record in that way, right? I mean, like looking for Sunshine and Twilight, like a good example, because that's I think I would say probably the closest you get to actually talking about something that could be conceived as romantic love, but really
Mm,
it's just kind of looking for a connection with another person, which is something we lost completely for a year, and even now has turned into a weird thing. Like, I mean, you're either that person who goes out and goes for it, or you're that person who's still staying at home.
yeah.
There's a question in here somewhere, but I liked it. It had a very big post-pandemic vibe to it. Was that intentional, or did that just happen as a result of the environment?
It's funny that you pick out that song because that is the one song that I started writing in March of 2020. So
Okay.
really, it was a song, and I had just gone through a bunch of pretty heavy emotional stuff, and to have this happen as well with the
Yeah.
world was
I
like,
was gonna say you were about to go through a whole lot more.
yeah. So um, I couldn't quite finish it right away. I kept coming back to it. It wasn't working, but that was the one song that I wrote at the beginning. I would say in the height or the thick of what was happening in the world.
Sure.
So
And now where does Never Give Up come from? Because Never Give Up on Glory is a chorus that can be taken a whole lot of ways. Like
there is.
you've accomplished the make a living off of music thing. Or at least from an outsider's perspective, you had. I don't know, maybe you moonlight somewhere, but
Yes, right.
you've you've pulled that off, but is it that skin deep? I have a feeling it's not, but like, are you still looking for glory in your career, or are you talking about something else there?
I mm, I really enjoyed leaving it a bit ambiguous and leaving it for a listener to interpret for themselves. The glory, and I knew that word was gonna be kind of the hot topic of, hmm, what does she mean by that with
I
that
mean,
word?
it's an attention getter, yeah.
Part of the searching over the past couple years has been my own relationship with spirituality and this concept of God and what is that. So I also wanted to tie some of that into that song for myself. So my journey with spirituality has been really wild over the past few years. It was
Mm.
one thing growing up, it totally changed a 180, and then it kind of started doing the seesaw thing of like, ooh, where can it actually level out? Um, so the things I was learning, the things I was exploring got popped into that song as that. But also never giving up on your dream, on what your goals are. And for me, one of my goals was a deeper connection to my spirituality.
Yeah. Was that through a church? Was that an inward kind of journey, or was
Yeah.
that
Yeah, a lot of certain podcasts that I would follow, or YouTube channels, or my own meditation. Um, yeah, even some political science stuff that I was digging into. All kinds of questions were coming up, and I wanted some answers. So,
gotcha? All right. You know what? It's funny, of all of the different perspectives that I had thought that Glory might have taken, I hadn't considered spirituality.
that's funny.
And I know it is. I mean, listen, it's a sign that I need Jesus, but we all knew that anyway. Um, so all right, the title track, Little Fire. And I think you even like when we were texting about this, I think you even said that's my favorite track on the album, and you named the whole EP after it. What do you love about that song?
Um, it just feels good. Okay, so I've mentioned some other places that this song was a voice memo from probably 5, 6 years ago. And I always loved returning to this. The voice memo was fairly long, and I just never sat down to write the song. I didn't know what it was going to be about, when it was going to happen. So being able to really create that and give it its full breath felt really good. And then because it was the impetus for the EP being done, I pulled the certain songs together and pulled the idea and the concept of what I wanted the vibe to be. Like I said, John Mayer-esque
Yeah.
um, notes in there. It was the jumping off point for the other songs that I picked, and how they worked together.
What was on that voice memo? Was it verse? Did you have a hook in mind?
It was nearly the whole thing. It was really chorus verse, chorus verse. Bridge is always the weirdest thing to happen, and it's just I got to deal with that last.
Right, right.
But chorus verse, so easy for me. So the words aren't really the way I write is, I guess I don't even know if it's unique to me, but gibberish. Sometimes there's just ahs, oohs, but then there's words that don't seem to go together, or sentences that don't seem to go together in different topics. It's just very stream of consciousness. So I use some of it and I use all of it.
Right. Right,
Most
right, right.
use. Yeah, I just had to rewrite a song. But then trying to match your intonation of a certain line and the melody, and you have to find words that fit to that little melody that you put.
You're playing a game with consonants at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
Well,
exactly.
yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, there's so much nostalgia in that tune too. I mean, just the line "Take me back to 1984." See, here's the thing though, is that like, and me and you, I think, are about the same age. "Take me back to 1984" could mean "Take me back to my childhood," or that could be a reference to 1984.
For
Or
sure.
were you just lucky enough that it was both?
There were certain things going on in '84 that I would like to revisit.
Okay.
That's the best I can do. Turning points.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, and I've walked through this entire EP. That was honestly that wasn't intentional, but since we did there, let's talk about Simple Life for a minute, because you're a performer. You have a non-conventional career. I guess we both do. You know what I mean? And I'm the kind of person who I love to talk about how much I want simplicity. I love to talk about how I want to ditch the phone. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't know that I really mean it when I say it. Do you feel like you really mean you want a simple life?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dream about a house in the woods or on the beach, and I don't want neighbors anywhere near me. I want super quiet. I want a bunch of dogs. Um, really quiet, simple life. Yeah, sounds great to me. And every for the past several years, usually around February or March, I do ditch devices. I'll set up content to roll for anywhere from a week to almost a month, and I just skip out. I tell my nearest and dearest, I might be able to have a phone conversation with you. I'm not texting. I'm checked out of socials. And I need that soon because I'm going a little.
I was gonna say we're coming up on that. Like we're in that right now. So thank you for not doing that this week.
I have an EP that I'm releasing, so there's also a lot of stuff I have to do
Right.
for it. So
You kind of shot yourself in the foot with doing that this year. Yeah.
yeah, maybe a little. Look, it can happen. I get to make the rules, so at any point,
It's a
I-
good point.
but I like doing that.
Do you go away or do you just stay local and unplug?
I've done both. I prefer to go away. It's so much easier than be surrounded with your stuff. But if that doesn't happen, it can be easy enough to do. I'm already on a cleanse right now, so I'm at 1 foot in in that lane, trying to get active again, and the weather's warming up out here in New England, as you know. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mm,
So all right, so you're a performer. You've been a performer your entire life. And somebody asked me this question once, and this question threw me for a loop. But do you think at the end of the day that you where does your love really lie? Did the love lie first in performance or in the art itself? So basically, is it performing music or is it the writing and listening of music? What's your ratio there?
so curious about your answer.
Okay. I'll make you a deal. You first.
um, can't it be a little of both? I
Definitely. I think it's just it's like it's about the ratio.
because there's different points in my life where if I could just segment it out and say, hey, for this half of the year or for this 3/4 of the year, whatever it is, all I want to do is to be able to be financially secure, sitting in my room writing music. I don't want to have to go out there, or talk to anybody, or be my real little hermit self. And then there's that other part of me that has such a joy in getting in front of people and knowing, feeling that they enjoy that, and that there is something about my live performance that can't, or at least hasn't been captured in a studio on a microphone. It's intangible to me to explain. Um, so the performance end is pretty equally important to be able to connect with people when I feel like doing that. Um, but I prefer to be alone more of the time than being like social. So then maybe I would err on the side of writing.
Right. I mean, it's a weird it's one of those weird things where like
It's hard to answer.
yeah, yeah. And being in front of people and being around people is not the same thing too,
Right. You're
which
right.
a lot of people get confused.
Yeah.
I know for sure.
Yeah. Though performing, and at least performing music the way I do it, maybe because of the history of acting that I have, I get into it. I feel it. I don't I can't dial it in. Like I have to feel it.
Yeah.
And I have fun doing that. I have fun feeling. I have fun giving that much.
Well, it's theater. I mean, it really is. It's a and it's especially in a singer-songwriter like thing. Maybe if you're with a band, it's more of a spectacle, but especially like a one-on-one, it's a dialogue with the audience.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah, that question did it. It absolutely threw me for a loop because you kind of do lose track of it at a certain point. Like, where does where does my real passion lie? Is it in the performance or is it in the music itself? But
I
it
think
is.
that matters too.
Right.
Does it matter? I don't know.
If you're good at it, right? If you're good at it, I think if you suck at one of them, you really gotta just dial it back on that.
You're right.
So, Elle Sera, we're gonna be playing this entire LP this Sunday on 95.9 The Fox. Yes, indeed. If you're listening right now, or if you're listening in the future, you can check it out 9 p.m. On 95.9 FM. If you live in Fairfield County, Connecticut. If you live outside of that, you can go to 959. There we go.
Yeah.
thefox.com. And you can stream the entire thing. New EP Little Fire out now. What do you got coming up, Elle?
Bunch of gigs, just a bunch of gigs. I'm working on the next single. I'll probably start working on the single after that. In the next couple of months. I've been having, it's daunting. More and more people asking for merch. So I'm working on those designs
Gotta
right
make the merch.
Yeah, all I could get for the beginning of the year was a calendar and the CD. So now I'll start working on that. And with all of that comes I need to work on the website. I need to tours in action and
Website look good. Your website was good. I've seen some rugged websites.
oh yeah.
This one looked pretty good. I'm
It
not gonna name names.
it just, it needs a whole zhuzh.
Gotcha. All right. Well, new merch and new singles coming out soon. That's always exciting. And yeah, the entire EP this Sunday at 9. Performing tonight, right? Village Wheel in Stanford.
At the wheel.
At
Love
the
that.
wheel.
Seriously. It's so good. It's so good.
Shout out to the Village Wheel. If you're watching this now, go check out Elle Sera tonight, 5:30, man.
Really. Or next Thursday. I'll be there next Thursday too.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, Elle, stick around for a sec after I end the live broadcast, but thanks for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
Having me.
My pleasure. New EP out right now. Little Fire. Go get it.
Woo.